Super Mario Bros. Is one of, if not the most iconic video game franchise of all time. Since its conception in 1981, Mario has gained the title of Mr. Video Game and is pretty much the symbol of the entire industry. The franchise has grown quite a cast of characters over the years, both friends and enemies to other races and species. Super Mario Bros. Has no shortage of characters, so it's not surprising that the franchise has a handful of forgotten characters. But none of them caught my eye quite like Bowser's brother. In 1986, Nintendo released a sequel to Super Mario Bros. In Japan titled Super Mario Bros. 2, which would later be known as The Lost Levels here in the West when the game was remade in Super Mario All-Stars. For simplicity's sake, I'll be referring to the original as Super Mario Bros. 2 and the remake as The Lost Levels. When Mario reaches the final room of Bowser's castle in World 8, a blue Bowser appears, blocking his path to the Koopa King. Because the character has only appeared in one game thus far, not much is known about him. His identity in relation to Bowser has also had a rocky past. There are several guidebooks that refer to the character as a fake Bowser, while others simply call him Blue Bowser, though most people just shorten this to Bowser to save time. Actually no, nobody says that. One guide even states that the Blue Bowser isn't related to Bowser at all. It wasn't until the game's remake in Super Mario All-Stars that Nintendo began referring to him as Bowser's brother and gave us a little more information about the character. Blue Bowser couldn't simply be another fake Bowser. Fake Bowsers already existed in Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2. They are the bosses you fight at the end of each world. Killing each of them with fireballs will reveal their true identities as one of Bowser's minions. It isn't until reaching level 8-4 that you fight off against the real Bowser. You fight Bowser's brother 3 times across the game, once in World 8-4, again in World 9-3, and one last time in World D4. In D4, killing Bowser's brother with fireballs turns him into a Spiny, revealing that he was a fake Bowser. However, in the first 2 levels, he doesn't transform upon death, meaning that Blue Bowser has his own identity. The instruction manual for the Lost Levels here in the West states that Bowser and his brother are twins. The Japanese version gives us even more information, explaining that Bowser's brother is the youngest of the twins and has the same strength as the fake Bowsers, implying that Bowser is the strongest of the brothers. It seemed as though Nintendo began to appreciate this one-hit wonder, so why has he only appeared in one game? Well, based on the evidence, we may be able to figure it out. In the Lost Levels, Bowser's brother is no longer blue and has the same color palette as Bowser. This is one of the big reasons why the character isn't as well known. There have been more re-releases of Super Mario All-Stars than the original version of Super Mario Bros. 2. Since the re-releases don't come with instruction manuals, most players assumed that this was just another fake Bowser, myself included. But why is that? Why was Bowser's brother changed to green? Bowser's brother shares the same color palette as Cave Koopas. The blue-shelled Koopa Troop was found in underground levels. It's important to understand that these Koopas have the same move patterns as green Koopas, because that's exactly what they are. They're green Koopas whose shells are darker due to the lack of lighting inside caves. You don't have to take my word for it either. We know this because in the Lost Levels, all the blue Cave Koopas are replaced with regular green Koopas. Does this mean that Bowser's brother has always been the same color as Bowser? That because the Cave Koopas are now their normal color, so is Bowser's brother? Was Bowser's brother left out of future Mario titles because he is undistinguishable from Bowser, making his existence meaningless? Well, no. Bowser's brother is naturally blue. Further evidence of this can be found in World 9-3 when you fight Bowser's brother during the day. Because Bowser's brother has the same color palette as Cave Koopas, it isn't far-fetched to believe that Bowser may have been planned to appear in a few underground levels. That, or someone was messing around at work and wanted to see what an underground Bowser would look like. There may have even been a red Bowser concept as well. Whatever the case, the sprite sheet was created and for one reason or another was thrown in at the end of Super Mario Bros. 2, birthing a new character in the franchise. Bowser's brother actually has an unused color palette in the Lost Levels. I found a video on YouTube from a channel called Zerozeroseven Hope, where the player has hacked the color palette back into the game. However, the palette is mapped to Bowser instead of his brother. I'll link a video in the description below for anyone who wants to check it out. But if this is the actual unused color palette, then there is a little more we can learn about Bowser's brother. The red tint on his horns and spikes are gone, and his hair is a pinkish red while Bowser's is more of a red-orange. Since this is the most recent canonical palette of the character, then this is about what Bowser's brother would look like if he were to make a return to the franchise. So, if his color palette swap wasn't the reason for his disappearance, then what was? The answer is pretty simple. Bowser's brother has similar attacks to Bowser, and moving forward with the series, fighting the same boss over and over again makes the final boss feel underwhelming. This is why the Koopalings were introduced into the franchise. 7 small Bowser-esque creatures serving under the king. Each one has a different look and fighting style, making them unique. While overall, Bowser's brother was just another Bowser. So why add him to more games when you already have a character that can do the job? While Bowser's brother hasn't appeared in another mainstream game since his debut, he has appeared in a few spin-off games. In Mario Golf and Mario Tennis on the N64, a blue Bowser alt is playable in both games. It's not clear whether or not these are a direct reference to the character, but with Fireball Mario and Old School Luigi also being playable, it's not hard to believe. However, blue Golf Bowser's shell is purple, so it was most likely just a coincidence. Bowser's brother does in fact make a return in Super Mario Bros. Wii U, 3DS, and Ultimate. One of the loading screen tips confirms this. While the color palette of Ultimate's blue Bowser doesn't quite match up with Bowser's brother, it's still a nice nod to video game history. However, this isn't the only reference to Bowser's brother in Smash. Bowser's brother has made a cameo across the series since Bowser was introduced in Super Smash Bros. Melee. In fact, there are 2 characters that represent Bowser's brother in both Melee and Brawl. The first is pretty obvious, it's Bowser's blue alt from Melee. The colors are much more obscure than his alt in later games, so how do we know this is really a reference to Bowser's brother? His stomach is the key, but before we go any further with that, let's digress a bit and talk about Red Bowser. Melee's Red Bowser and Blue Bowser's have similar color palettes. They are based around a single color. Red Bowser has a red shell, reddish skin, and yellow hair, and Blue Bowser has a blue shell, bluish skin, and yellow hair. But the difference is in their stomachs. Red Bowser has a red-tinted stomach, close to regular Bowser's. Black Bowser's stomach follows the same pattern with his respective color, but instead of having a blue-tinted stomach, Bowser's brother's stomach is completely blue, different from the others. This blue stomach matches Bowser's brother's stomach from Mario 2, which is also blue. This trend continues in the lost levels with his unused color palette. That's why I believe that Melee's blue Bowser is a reference to Bowser's brother. But that still leaves an unanswered question. Why is the rest of blue Bowser's color palette different from Bowser's brother? It's because blue Bowser is just a reference to the character instead of its representation. That honor goes to another. There's evidence to suggest that Black Bowser is another reference to Bowser's brother, and is Melee's interpretation of the character. Bowser is the final boss of Melee's adventure mode. On lower difficulties you fight Black Bowser, and Green Bowser on higher difficulties. We know that Bowser's brother is the weaker of the two, so this couldn't just be a coincidence. If you need even more evidence, check out Bowser's congratulation image from adventure mode, where Blue Bowser and Black Bowser are staring each other down. If my theory is correct, why would Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Smash Bros., represent Bowser's brother as black instead of blue? The answer lies within Giga Bowser. Sakurai has admitted that the inspiration for Giga Bowser came from his interpretation of Bowser when he played Super Mario Bros. For the first time. He didn't imagine the wimpy, idiotic Bowser we see across most of the Mario games. He imagined a dangerous beast with unimaginable strength. In the early days of Smash, Sakurai reinterpreted a lot of Nintendo's characters into his own style, the way he envisioned them. He was the one who redesigned Pit from Kid Icarus in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, inspiring Nintendo to revive the franchise with this refreshing, modern take on the character. It isn't crazy to believe that Black Bowser was his interpretation of Bowser's brother. Nintendo couldn't give him a black sprite in Mario 2 because he would blend in with the background. So with the limited colors they had at their disposal at the time, blue had to work as a substitute. Bowser's brother also had a black shell in the Japanese instruction manual of the Lost Levels, which may have further inspired Sakurai to make this change. Giga Bowser may also have taken inspiration from Bowser's brother. It's more noticeable in Brawl, but across the series, Giga Bowser has a darker skin tone than Bowser and a bluish-green shell. And with that, those are all the references and theories surrounding Bowser's brother, and all that we know about the character. But there's still one final question we have to answer before we end the video. The Smash Ultimate loading screen tip calls Blue Bowser a fake Bowser. So, who is Blue Bowser canonically, and what is his relation to Bowser? To answer this, we have to turn to the most recent updated answer, which can be found in the Super Mario Bros. Encyclopedia, the official guide to the first 30 years. The book officially states that Blue Bowser is just another fake Bowser and there's nothing more to it. This is unfortunate, as the idea of Bowser having a brother and having to fight both at the end of a Mario game as one final test of strength would make for a fantastic ending to a fun game. There still may be hope for Blue Bowser. The Japanese version of the encyclopedia might have a different interpretation of the character. After all, Birdo is still considered a guy in Japan. Western translations are notorious for changing info to keep its audience happy. For now, all I can say is that Blue Bowser is still very much an official Super Mario Bros. Character. It's likely that he will never appear again outside of spin-off games, but who knows what the future holds. Thank you so much for watching, and keep on gaming.